Welcome back to the Real Couchwives podcast where we overanalyze all things Bravo. This week we are recapping Vanderpump Rules Season 11, Episode 11.
Episode 11. I like that. And that is where the excitement ended for me on this episode. There were kind of two big things that happened, or one big thing and then one just really weird, confusing thing. Do you want to guess what the confusing thing is?
I would argue there was a lot of confusing things. We're seeing so many non-cast member characters pop up. I'm assuming one of them is going to be about the Katie Maloney, Tom Schwartz, Tori something, Tori 24-year-old.
Yeah.
Love triangle.
Yeah, good old love triangle between, an ex-wife and ex-husband and then Scheana's babysitter.
Or yeah, exactly. Not nanny.
Yeah. And then we also have just the cast, but primarily Lala and Brock, really just harping on this house situation, why Ariana's not moving out, and Scheana's adding her little 2 cents in there as well. Yeah. So, that is really frustrating. Lala is just kind of saying straight up to move on. And also befriending random people like Jo because apparently she's soft now. And
exactly. She's soft to literally everybody else other than Ariana and Katie. She doesn't reserve that right for them, though.
Yeah. So, interesting episode. We'll get into it.
Let's get into
it. We start off actually at the continuation with Beach Day, where Ariana and Tom were kind of fighting. Tom was bringing up that Ariana doesn't pay for anything because it's his favorite thing in the entire world to bring up. He also brings it up in the after show again, that she does not do a single thing for the house. Actually, now the new narrative is not only does she not pay for things, she cannot operate as a functioning human being, and she cannot take care of herself. And when she moves out, she's going to be in for a rude awakening because apparently he is the sole caretaker of the household. Right. Not even able to pick up his dirty socks and underwear. His ex-assistant Anne had to do that, but he is the provider and anyways.
For all things batteries. Doesn't have an Amazon subscription where he can just get those things automatically sent to the house each month. She's going to fall apart. She doesn't know how to do anything.
Yeah. So that was happening. And then they eventually kind of not ran him off, but Tom left as he should.
Yes.
And then we basically pick right back up and Brock is like, this guy's been castrated, you have gone tit for tat. And Ariana's like, I am allowed to do that. I didn't do anything. I feel like we're all just kind of forgetting the part of why Ariana is starting to react. She didn't even want to talk about this. She even said in one of her confessionals, maybe it's a bit later, but she was like, I didn't want to talk about this. I am going through so much trauma, behind the scenes, but I'm trying to not make that on everyone else. But Tom keeps bringing it up at every opportunity. So yeah, he's instigating her. She's going to say something. And then everyone gets mad when she reacts. So it's just unfair.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. This whole Lala, Brock, the way that they're approaching this, I understand that there was clearly a conversation that was had by production very much saying hey guys, this is not working. We need to figure out how we're actually going to cobble together a season. And clearly that's what Brock and Lala are particularly doing. And Lala has now on her podcast very much said, pretty openly, I would say, about the fact that, this was about the paycheck. This was about us making sure that we could have a show this year and we can continue to get paid.
Has she said that on her podcast?
Yeah, in the most, I don't know if it's the most recent one, but the one with Heather McDonald,
wow,
that's basically what she was saying, right? And so yeah, it's pretty clear to all of us, to the audience, that Lala is very much not Team Ariana anymore. But I am just super confused because I feel they do just keep on putting it on. They could still be filming with Tom Sandoval and have the scenes that they're filming with him try to be getting Tom Sandoval to be the rational, normal, member of society that kind of can talk to Ariana and figure out how he can do that. And that could be the storyline if they really needed a storyline, including Tom Sandoval. But for some reason, instead, Brock and Lala have made it their mission to make Ariana the person that needs to figure out how to have civil conversations with this Neanderthal Tom Sandoval.
It's so true. And they all say it too. Lala also said it, I think possibly in that same interview, but she's we know who Tom is. He's not going to change. Yeah. He's not going to get out of the house. You just leave. But it's why is that the answer? Just like, he's so
Right.
horrible that we're just gonna have to be better ourselves. But also, it's like, you are going out of your way to be
Hmm.
friends with this guy and to
Hmm.
not hold him a prisoner of his past that was like a few months ago,
Yeah.
as you
Yeah.
had said. It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, it's
I know. It's so confusing.
just to think about the season we thought we were going to have of the
I
girls coming
know.
together. And like, it does make me think of, when Jax cheated on Brittany in season 6. Again, I'm going to talk about it
Hmm.
because that's what I'm rewatching. The
Hmm.
way the girls just rallied, and it was
Yeah.
so beautiful, and it was so fun to watch. Like, that's still good TV, and I don't understand
Hmm.
why that's not what we're seeing now.
I know. And that's just it. I really think that there were other ways for them to like execute this season without them going about this way. And this is so disingenuous. I think like Lala, like, she says that she doesn't care how the fans reacting. She's glad that we're reacting. She's clearly glad that we're talking about her. But at the same time, like, it's just feels so confusing because if I literally just look back at last year, the way that Lala was like treating Ariana, the way she was treating Katie, like, is just so different from this. And I'm just like, I don't understand the disconnect, and it's like really jarring as the audience, and it's actually doing the opposite. It's not making us want to watch this show.
No.
A lot of us are begrudgingly watching this show.
I don't even like, it's hard to watch. Like, we're
Yeah.
watching it for you so we can
Yeah.
recap it, but like, it's really frustrating. And also,
Yeah.
it's like, if I think we talked about this a little bit before, but it's like, it's kind of bad in both ways. Like, if this is fake, then what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, I know obviously, okay, people to be like, do you think reality TV is real? I know it's not 100% real,
Yeah.
but I think VPR has always kind of stood out as being one that's more authentic, and this just like
Hmm.
is really different than what we've seen before. And
Yeah.
it's also not fun to watch, because it's just
Hmm.
like such a change from the way everyone was acting before. And then
Yeah.
if it is real, you're just like, I don't understand that at
Hmm.
all. But she
No.
also unfollowed Ariana and Katie, so obviously on social media. So like, obviously there's a
Yeah.
real component here too,
I don't even know, honestly. I think that everything that she
unless
does
that's
now,
for
it's
show.
it's that's just it. I feel like it's for show, right? It's for us to be able. It's for her to have something to talk about in her next Amazon Live. For somebody to ask her the question, "Hey, why did you follow Ariana and Katie?" And she's like, "Well, let me tell you a story about why I did unfollow
That's
them."
such a good point. And like, people have also been saying that they feel like she's really trying to produce the show, and a lot of the scenes are just like her having one-on-ones with random people, and that she like, is she now the Lisa of the show to just move the plot along, and also
Yeah.
not really having that much of a storyline of her own. Like, of course we
No.
do see her trying to have another kid, and we
Hmm.
do like to see those aspects as well, but like, oh my gosh, like, she's almost like pulling a Lisa Rinna here. Like,
But she's literally pulling a Lisa Rinna right now, isn't she? Like this feels so similar to that Kathy Hilton storyline in season 12, season 11, season 12 of Beverly Hills, where like Lisa Rinna was teeing it up and teeing it up, and she's like, "Oh my god, just you guys wait until you actually see the season. You see what actually happened. You guys are
yeah,
all gonna believe me." And it's like we're episode 11 of season 11 of Vanderpump Rules, and Lala. It's like, where is the smoke? Where is the fire?
right.
Where is the proof, the timeline, the receipts? Like, we don't got none of this stuff.
So yeah, clearly we have a lot of thoughts on this, and it'll
Many
continue to,
feelings.
yeah, it'll continue to come up throughout the show, because this is just the beginning. So now everyone moves from the beach to the waterfront restaurant, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
And here the biggest thing that happens is the love triangle that we were talking about, which is so strange.
So awkward.
It's so awkward. I don't
Yeah.
understand any of it. It's, oh my gosh. So first you show Tom Sandoval trying to like get drinks with like some girls and doing like
Yeah.
making toast, and you're just like, oh
Let me buy
gosh.
you guys a round of shots. So what would you get like me to get your group here?
And they like
Hey, little
solely
lady.
talking to like, yeah, like early 20 somethings.
Yeah, it's so
Um so then Tom Schwartz is there as well, and then Tori, who is, so she's friends with Scheana for a long time, right? But she's
yeah.
like 24.
That's just it. Apparently she's been friends with Scheana since she was 16. I think
That's
they
so
said that in
random.
either the episode or they said that in the after show.
Yeah, so they've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
And then Tori comes over, and she's so she like makes a joke as like introduces herself to the other girls
Yeah.
as Schwartz's ex-wife,
Yeah.
which is so weird.
Yeah.
And then we get like a weird scene of Tom being like, "Oh, I always thought she was so fly," and then I guess she also thinks that I'm fly. And
I'm
you're
fine.
like, "Oh my god, Tom, you're such a
I know.
loser."
Disgusting. Get away from her. How dare you?
And then Katie comes in, and then
Hmm.
basically there's like a little like, I don't know who's gonna win the attention of this
Yeah.
girl. And then in Katie's confessional, she's like, if he doesn't want me to take her girls, then he should try harder. This
Which I
was
did
so
appreciate.
yes, I did, but
I
like,
thought that
could
that
we
was
just like,
funny.
I think James says it at one point. He's like, why is no one acknowledging how weird this is? Like, these people were
Yeah.
married. Like, they were
Yeah.
married. We went to their
Yeah.
wedding. And
Yeah.
now they are just like making jokes to each other about like who can get the girl,
Yeah.
like frat bros almost.
I
It's like,
know.
it's so like the dynamic is like, how did we get here?
That and like they're literally just like the person that they're chasing after too. I'm just like, you couldn't get a more age appropriate person to like, fight over. I don't know. This seems weird. It feels like
Yeah,
it doesn't need to be like Sheena's like by proxy little sister. Like
it's so strange. And also
so
like this
gross.
like Tori is instigating it a lot. Like she instigated it with
Yes.
both of them. Like to
Yeah.
Katie, she's like, "Oh my god, I really want to kiss you." And then to Schwartz, she's like, "Oh my god, aren't you going to ask me out?" And you're just like,
I
"You're
know.
like this. This is
Well, she
weird."
does. She does. And actually, I looked her up on Instagram last night because I had to get a little bit more info. But she's like a musician, so I'm like, okay, I get it. You're building your profile and like trying to like get your more
Okay.
exposure out there. This makes sense. But yeah,
Okay, maybe there'll be a
still
song that'll
still
come out
still
about
weird.
it.
I'm happy for her to like use them and like exploit them for the followers and the base. Like, good for you. Go get on it. But yeah, it's weird for them. I'm fine with her doing it. I'm not okay with them doing it.
Yeah, true.
Strange.
It is very interesting. And then like Katie and her end up kissing, and then essentially throughout the episode, we kind of go back and forth. But then we find out that like she went on a Schwartz with dates. She went on a Schwartz with dates. She went on a date with Schwartz,
Yeah.
and then the next day she went on a date with Katie. And we're
Yeah.
just going like,
No, it's not good. It's not normal, guys. Get out of there.
yes. So then we go into another scene where
Yeah.
Lala, Ariana, and Scheana are talking just kind of about the situation, trying to like console Ariana, and Lala's like, you can only control yourself. Like he's gonna do what he's gonna do, and like again, the whole like, oh, like we know what to expect from him, like you focus on
Hmm.
you.
Hmm.
Um and Ariana says that like he actually still hasn't even apologized for what he's done. Like
Yeah.
he can't admit that he messed up to her. He could say it to everyone else.
Yeah.
Um,
And I just don't understand why they're not yet over there yelling at him, like trying to get him to do something. Like, okay, like think about the energy that Sheena brought to Tahoe when she wanted him to apologize to Lala. And like when Sheena wanted to like be the
oh
mediator
my gosh, you're
between
so right.
Lala and Tom Sandoval in that moment. Like, why did nobody attempt to do that at Beach Day? That would have been a great Beach Day scene. Like, I
That
just
is
don't
such a
understand.
good point. That's
Like,
such a
what?
good point. Oh my gosh.
Why
And
am
like
I
yeah,
thinking of these things and not them?
and
You guys are the reality TV
Lala
people.
was like screaming at him. Lala called him like a groomer and all of these things. And
Yeah,
like then
yeah.
when Ariana pops off, they're all like shocked, and she's like so
Well,
scary and mean,
she's
and like, oh my gosh, she
crazy.
has so many emotions, and like why can't she
Yeah,
get it in check?
yeah. Such an
uh
emotional
and also like
lady.
it's frustrating when Brock does it. It's really frustrating when Brock does
It's
it.
really
I don't
frustrating
want
when
to.
Bros
I
does
don't
it.
want to like downplay that, but it's
No, I don't even
really
wanna.
frustrating when the girls go against the other girls. It's just like, why are we
Well,
doing this?
and that's the annoying thing too about this scene, right? Is that like we've seen so many scenes between Sheena and Lala privately, and we see them even later on in this episode where they are clearly talking behind Ariana's back. And then if you see like this is a scene that they filmed with Ariana, and like they're crying with her, they're feeling compassion towards her, they're feeling I think empathy towards her, like they understand the situation, they're bonding in this moment, and you can only imagine what it's like for Ariana to be going back in time watching this scene and having seen kind of like all these like confessionals where they're talking behind her back, these moments when they're talking behind her back, and then it's like here we are, we're crying over this moment together, and now I know what you guys were actually saying when I wasn't
It
around.
it
Like,
makes it really hard to watch this type of scene. Yeah, just
yeah,
to see what they're saying afterwards.
yeah,
And now what they continue to say, like Scheana, I think just did an interview also being like, "Oh, my relationship with Ariana is really different." Like, yeah,
Yeah,
I wonder
I bet it
why.
is.
Like,
Can only
but
riddle me
but
that
then
one.
like she doesn't quote this. She's like, oh, it's because Ariana's really busy and doesn't ask me about how I'm doing. And it's like,
Right.
maybe because
Yeah.
Ariana watched you say horrible things about her for
Yeah.
like multiple months.
Exactly. Maybe Ariana needs a little break from you right now. Come
Like,
on.
oh my gosh. So yeah, like this in this scene, Lala is like, did you ever feel like, do you feel like he just kind of threw me away, like I didn't even matter? And like Ariana's
Hmm.
like, yeah, I did. And she starts to cry. And then
Yeah.
for once we get someone saying that, and it was actually Scheana being like, this was your dream house too. And
Hmm.
like that's what Ariana said. She's like, we bought these things together, like this was gonna be our
Yeah.
home. Like I know everyone just keeps being like, oh my god, but Tom loves the house.
Hmm.
But then there was a part that actually really frustrated me where Scheana said, like, this was your dream house and he messed up, but like now we need to just get you out of there. Like, who
Yeah.
cares about these materialistic things?
Yeah.
As if that's the reason Ariana's staying, because she just loves the things in her house and
Stuff.
she's too
Yeah.
materialistic.
Yeah.
Obviously, at the end of the day, no one she doesn't care, but she's trying
No.
to set herself up financially and she's trying to like not let this man walk all over her and
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, it's just like,
Yeah.
why are we saying this?
Well, and that okay. So I kind of want to jump ahead because I feel like it's
Yeah,
pertinent now. But like, so when they're like, we then have Lala and Scheana at the, is it a sperm bank? What is that place?
yeah, the cryo bank or something.
Some kind of medical place in Los Angeles, very fancy. Um, so they're having the conversation once again, kind of like about this conversation. So I guess it is pertinent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, about how like Ariana hasn't left and why she hasn't left, and Scheana kind of implies, well, she fully implies
Yeah,
that she thinks that the reason that Ariana hasn't left is because Ariana like is too prideful to like move into an apartment, and she's like sees it as like beneath her or something to like
yep.
go live in a shoebox in Studio City or whatever, Sunset Boulevard or something. And it's just like, I can't believe that that's what you think is the reason that she doesn't want to move out, is because she can't go. She's like, oh, it's beneath me to go live in an apartment. Like, what?
It's just so crazy. And it's also like we as the audience understand the reasons that she is staying in the house. She has said it multiple times. Like, I'm sure that her best friend Scheana has also heard the reasons. And the fact that she's
Literally.
still saying this, like, and it's like, yeah, she's doing well now. And even if she can afford to, like, that's not the smartest decision to make.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's so ridiculous. Like,
It is so ridiculous. And like, and the thing is, like, even I, as a person who's never met Ariana, I'm like, yeah, but what about the cat and then the dog? And it's true, like, finding an apartment for animals is very difficult, and you can't just like move into like any place, because you want to be like, I don't want to have to then like move them again, because they get all, cats in
mm-hmm.
particular, they get all freaked out if they have to move multiple times. I know from experience. I've moved cats multiple times. And like, it's just like, it's a lot for animals, and like, it's a lot to even find an apartment where you can qualify with multiple animals as well. Like, it's not just an easy cut and dry solution. Like, yeah, if it
Yeah.
was just her moving to a studio, apartment in Studio City or wherever, be different.
It's true. And there's also, the fact that the things that they bought together, like she's the one who's doing
Mm-hmm.
the inventory on it to see who paid
Mm-hmm.
for it, like,
Yeah.
because that was not included in the original price. Like, there's all these other pieces that she's just making sure that
Mm-hmm.
she's getting a fair deal on this. And everyone's just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I don't feel bad. You're
Yeah.
choosing to stay in the house. Obviously,
Yeah.
you're
we
fine.
can't we can't talk, and that's how the Lala concludes it, right? She's like, we
Yeah.
can't talk about the house anymore because you're staying, so you can't talk about it anymore.
It's like,
um and it's just like, if Lala and Sheena now are both homeowners, Sheena technically, like, it's going to be a little bit foggier because she has it with like Brock, even though she like signed over the papers so that he doesn't have possession, he signed over the papers so he doesn't have possession of the house. But regardless, like, those are their houses, right? Those are Lala's and Sheena's houses. Yes, they didn't buy them with the men that were in their significant part of their life, but they would never allow a man to like come in between them and their houses, right? Like, why should Ariana allow a man to come in between her and her house, right? Like, it's, yes,
yeah,
she
it's so true.
co-owns it, but like, it's still like, I just don't think that Sheena and Lala would feel so blasé about it if it was their home.
They 100% would, but that's just the way that they've acted with so many other things. Like, there's also a really small scene that I didn't cover, but where Scheana was talking about Schwartz, and she's like, "Oh, I
Mhm.
think now they've been divorced for long enough. Like, I'm gonna help set Schwartz up again." And it's like,
Yeah.
why do they keep trying to help the men do these things? Like, they're
Yeah.
fine.
They're fine. They're literally fine. I know that Schwartz is playing this whole like, oh, injured puppy dog. I don't have any game. I can't believe somebody thinks I'm fly. Like, it's an act. It's an act. Come on.
No,
We know what's
fully.
really going on.
So yeah, that was really frustrating.
Yeah, very
And
frustrating.
so the way that Ariana said is just like, I keep my armor up because this is traumatic. Like,
Hmm.
and that's what I was saying earlier. Like, okay, so this is where that scene came in, where
Yeah.
she's like, I don't want to make it everyone's problem, but he keeps bringing it up.
Hmm.
And Lala actually ends that scene with, I think you handled it super well, and like you just
Yeah.
took those opportunities and you ran with it. The jealousy that they all have is like really palpable.
It's crazy. It's
So,
crazy. Whatever
anywho,
it is that they're feeling is crazy. I don't know what's going on.
and it's pretty clear. So then we go to a scene with Jo and Lala, because apparently now Lala, her new mission is to just talk to all the people that she feels have been wronged by very mean Katie and
Mean,
Ariana, the
mean,
mean
mean, mean,
girls,
mean. Yeah.
because she is in
Oh
her
my
soft
god.
era.
Yeah. Well, so one thing I thought that was interesting about this scene is yet again we have another example of Lala saying that Schwartz recommended that her and Joe talk together and like meet up or whatever. Or maybe it was Joe that said that, but regardless, I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah.
Lala. But it's just interesting because it's like, okay, is Schwartz still the code word for production? Because because Schwartz also allegedly set up the Lake Tahoe trip, and it's
That's
like
true.
when have we ever seen him do that? And like also just knowing the way that he's like introduced Joe to this cast, and like the way that he's like completely not set Joe up for success on this show, I don't believe that he did suggest that she talked to Lala. I think production probably suggested that she talked to
It's so
Lala.
true. If anything, I think he was like, Joe, please stop coming out with my
Yeah.
friends.
Oh,
Like,
I'm sorry, I am.
I'm sick. Like, yeah, actually, I did not think that I would feel this way, but I really felt bad for Joe in this episode for
Yeah,
so many reasons.
yeah, for so many reasons. And yeah, I think that I think we've all been a Joe in our life at one point or another,
We
right?
totally just being like, it'll change. They deep down really like me. Their actions are just not the same. But
I mean, in Joe's defense, like they've hooked up together, they've lived together, they've said I love you apparently. Like that's definitely strung a lot longer along
yeah.
than than I've even been, and I would say that I was pretty deep into some of them,
Yeah,
so
Schwartz is like really trying to play her as a fool here. Like,
yeah,
because if she, at first I was like, why are we giving Joe a confessional? But
yeah.
then later to find out that, yeah, they are continuously hooking up and they said, I love you. And Schwartz is trying to make it seem like this is all in
So
her head,
casual.
and she
Yeah.
got her wires crossed.
We communicated perfectly that this was not an actual relationship. She was just living at my house with me like 75% of the time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So here Joe says that she
Yeah.
wants to be part of this group because Schwartz really loves his friends, and
Yeah.
if she's going to be part of his life forever, then Lala is the ticket.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
two things that are like, "Oh, honey."
Like also Lala and Schwartz have only been friends for like 2 minutes right now, but
Yeah, like
okay, sure.
I guess because Lala's the only one that's like willing to speak to her, I
Yeah,
guess,
literally,
but like she
literally.
wants to be part of his life forever. Just like the verbiage that she is
Yeah,
using compared to
I
what
know.
Schwartz is saying. And Schwartz also like has the audacity to like talk to her about his dating, and like he's just being so mean
Oh my god.
considering
No.
how much she clearly likes him. And it seems
Yes.
like the whole group knew too.
And I know. Well, and the whole they like I can see why she was confused because she was also going on these like weekend trips with Tom Sandoval and Rachel, right?
and
So
and this
like
is where
little
we
double
feel,
dates.
yeah, and this is where the feeling bad for her stops.
Yeah.
um so Lala asks like if she knew about the
Hmm.
Raquel and Sandoval thing, and she's like, how
Yeah.
did you not know, because you were literally going on a
Literally.
double date with the four of you.
Yeah.
um and then like her excuses here just don't make
They're
sense.
so pathetic.
She's like,
No.
yeah, so Joe says that she thought that Ariana and Tom were broken up, um and that Ariana needs to move on essentially. But it's like Ariana has also said that like post this, Joe has been at their house for like
Yeah.
dinners. So like she
Yeah.
obviously knew they were not breaking up.
Yeah. And like, yeah, but Ariana said that she was even at like their Thanksgiving or something too,
Yeah,
right? Like, it's not, the math is not mathing. And like, also, if they were broken up, why did you guys have this like secret Big Bear trip where like nobody could talk about it and like people had to be, and like and also I just don't believe that Rachel and her weren't close enough that Rachel would have told her like, oh, I'm really hoping that he's gonna break up with Ariana soon. Like,
that's true. Well, she
there's
actually
just,
just had her on her podcast. Eh? I
yeah.
wasn't able to listen to
I
it,
only
but
I only listened to kind of like the pertinent parts. But yeah, it
anything.
was not really. I don't think it's anything that like we didn't kind of like already know, right? And but she did talk a little bit more about the Schwartz situation and like the whole hat thing and like how the hat was like his dad's hat and stuff like that. But
Oh wow, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
so that was interesting.
Okay, that makes more sense because in a scene a little bit later that we'll get into, like they're at a
Yeah,
singles night and a girl takes
yeah.
Schwartz's hat and Joe's like, "Not your hat."
No, not that hat. That's the wrong hat. And he's like, it's okay. There's like 70 more in the storage unit.
Oh, that was so uncomfortable.
It was so weird.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, anyways, that was odd.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I wanted to point out is like Joe was saying that her and Schwartz got emotionally close, and then she called him T Money. And
Yes.
Lala was like, "You call him T Money?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he calls me Joseph. And then you're like, I literally can see a world where these two people are together. They're both so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, that's just it. And Joe is much more age appropriate for Schwartz, so
True.
I think I should think about that. Um, one thing that really kind of annoyed me about this scene was kind of the depiction of Katie and Ariana in it, because they obviously talk about like the Hotel Ziggy situation and how, because like the last time that we saw Joe, basically she like walked away crying and had like a panic attack at Hotel Ziggy because the girls were being mean to her,
Hmm.
which I don't doubt that they were, and like I do think that like we've seen the evidence of that. But I just think it's interesting how in this scene between Lala and Joe, the mean girls are portrayed as like as Katie and Ariana, when I do agree that like yes, they played a role in that Hotel Ziggy thing, but also like Scheana and her friend also did that whole weird thing about Joe wearing a hat and
Oh yeah.
like, oh, here, let me take your, I'm gonna steal your hat, I'm stealing your hat because you can't wear it because look at your beautiful hair and you're a hairdresser, you should like show off your hair work, your work and stuff like that. Like there's just like that I feel like that made me feel more uncomfortable than just like the cold shoulder that Katie and Ariana gave her. Like
Yeah.
I don't
That's such a
know.
good point. And then actually on the after show too, Lala's talking about Schwartz's blonde hair that Joe did,
Yeah.
and she's like, first she doesn't wear first she wears hats, and then she like doesn't like she lets Schwartz go out with this hair. She's like she's not gonna have any more clients,
I
which
think
is
she did that hair thing on purpose. That is
but like
that is revenge if I've ever seen it.
that's fair. But it's just like, like so she's here being like, I'm here for you, like, oh, I'm gonna be your protector from the mean girls, and then she's gonna like make fun
Mhm.
of her on the after show.
Yeah,
Like,
literally. And but also like I'm specifically gonna paint the narrative of Katie and Ariana being the mean girls and make sure that my best friend Scheana is the one that is protected and doesn't come under that fire. Even though she was doing more active work.
yep. Yep. So then we go to another scene,
Hmm.
which is Top Golf with Ariana,
Yeah.
James, Allie,
This was
and
so cute.
Katie. It
I
was really
love this. I
cute.
want to do this. I love it.
Yeah, it does
So
look really
fun.
cute. Um, but yeah, this is where James is like, why is everyone acting like this is normal? This like
Yeah.
Tori Schwartz and Katie thing.
Yeah, I feel like the one kind of weird thing, the only like kind of like interesting thing that came out of this Top Golf scene was the parallel of how they like stitch this scene next to the one with Lala next after it. Because literally, in this scene we have Ariana talking with Katie, James, and Allie
Allie.
about like the fact that she's like starting to look for a house and she wants to get like a little tree house, like something that's going to be like up in the hills probably, which is what she ends up getting, which we love. And she's like starting to kind of like have that conversation, and like she kind of like concludes the conversation being like, I yeah, I want a house because I want something that's like all my own, that like I can just have for me, and
And
like
then no
something
one could take away.
that nobody can take away from me, exactly. And then like literally the next scene right after that is Lala being like, let me go to this like medical center to like find out about like getting a sperm donor, and like because I want a child that nobody can take away from me. And you're just like, and you guys can't see the parallels between this? You guys
Yeah,
can't see your situations being exactly the same? Like,
it's
what
so
is
true.
going on?
It's
I
so true.
can't.
And obviously it's like not comparing a house and a kid, but it's like
Yeah,
the
they're
same thing of a
different.
man coming in and taking something from you, and or like having
Yeah,
to share that. And it's like,
yeah.
yeah,
And
like
like having that
it's
be a motivator in your life for like how you make
it's
decisions.
it's really
Like,
strange that she can't have more like sympathy for her.
I know.
So yeah, we do have the next scene here with Lala and Scheana. So Lala is going to have a baby on her own, which we know now that she is. And I know she just added her
Yeah.
gender reveal.
Yeah, she's having a girl,
Oh,
which
she's
I did
gonna have
not.
two
I
girls.
thought it was gonna be a boy for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, it's gonna be a girl.
That is exciting.
So
Like honestly,
still,
good for her,
yeah,
because like that is brave, and I
yeah.
think that's really like I do want to see these parts of it, but it's just like you can't be
Hmm.
like I'm soft now, but only be like selectively soft to like certain
Yeah,
people.
exactly, exactly. And Tom
um,
Sandoval is one of those people I'm soft to
it's true. And
for some reason.
there was a scene too that I really felt for Lala where she's just like, my life, like I thought I would just have like, the married family and the white picket fence, and like that didn't
Hmm.
work out for me. And she was saying
Hmm.
that she feels like she failed her child, and like, yeah, that made me feel bad.
Hmm. Sorry, that was a bad moment for me to take a sip of water. Um, yeah, I know. I do feel for Lala, and that's just it. Like, I do think that like there could have been a way for them to have a season where Lala and Ariana were doing like this like, intense bonding over the situations that they had and kind of like going in depth about them, and we could find out more about the Bandle situation. Like, there was something there, and we just didn't
There
explore
really
it.
was,
Like,
and it's like they both know what it's like to be completely betrayed, and just like to
yeah,
have something hidden from them for so long. And it's like, like Lala didn't lean into that part, she leaned into something else that I don't even know.
let's figure out how to rehab Tom Sandoval's image. Like, let's
Yeah,
figure out how he gets his redemption arc and how do
it's
we
so
facilitate that.
it's so strange. So yeah, we kind of talked about this a little bit before, but yeah,
Hmm.
that like Lala's like, how do you feel about that combo? And
Yeah.
yeah, like Sheena again's like, oh, I'm just treading lightly with her.
Hmm.
And then yeah, Lala's like, she won't win this game, like, it's simple, move out, like you're choosing to hold on to this, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
All right.
So we won't go into that because we kind of
No.
covered that already.
Yeah.
Um, Next scene is really just Schwartz going to dye his hair blonde, which was Joe's idea, it seems. And so yes, this was 100% revenge.
Yeah. That's just it. When I found out that it was her idea, I was like, oh, okay. All right. Now we know what really happened here because she's clearly found out about the Tori date the night
Yes.
before.
Yes.
And she's like, let me see what I can do. Let's mess up this man's life.
It's so bad. Not
Oh, it's
really
so bad.
anything else comes out there, but he's like, yeah, he's talking to
No.
her about dating, and you can tell she's like, oh, is that right? Gets like more bright yellow.
Okay, let me mix this up a little bit more. I don't know how it works.
Oops, I kept it in too long.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, does that
Let's just leave
burn?
it this. Yeah. And she was putting it on. Like, I obviously don't know how you would do a man's hair. I've watched TikTok videos of them doing women's hair, but I've never seen like somebody do a man's hair like this before. But she was just like painting it on, just like getting it all over the place. Like, it seemed very chaotic.
It
There's no
was.
foils. Weren't there supposed to be
It's
foils? I don't
true. Well, I guess
know.
foils if you're like I don't know what it's like if
I
you're
don't
doing
know
a whole
how it
head. You're
works.
right. I
I don't
get
know how it
foils for
works. Do you just
highlights.
bleach the entire thing? It seems intense.
You stick your
Anyways,
head in this
if you
bleach.
if you've had your hair bleached, let us know. How does this work?
How does it work?
What are the
Uh,
logistics?
so now we go to girls' night.
Hmm.
With Ariana, Katie, Lala, and Scheana. Again, we're talking about the date. The Tori date comes up. It's like it's kind of like the
Too much.
thread throughout this
Too much.
episode.
The only thing that happened in this episode, apparently.
Yeah, and okay, Lala gets some little jabs in too, where I forget who it was, but someone says like that this situation is weird. And
Hmm.
Lala's like, oh well, it can't be weirder than like banging his best friend, talking about Katie and Max. And it's
Right.
like just little things like this where it's like, why why are we
Why do you
jabbing Katie?
care?
Why are we taking
Yeah.
and also like why
Yeah.
is no one jabbing Max? I guess because Max isn't in the show, so I'm hoping he's
Right.
getting as much heat as she is.
Yeah. But no, the kid, that's just it. Like, Lala seems to just like have it out for Katie at this point. So it doesn't
She
really
does.
matter whether or not like what she's saying makes sense. She's just like, if I can take a jab, I will have a jab.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
If it fits, I sits.
exactly.
um And then, yeah, Lala just like really nonchalantly tells them that she went for lunch with Joe, and Katie,
Hmm.
right? I feel like Katie's and Ariana are the only ones who are having like what the reactions that you would anticipate
Yeah,
having.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so she's like, wait, what? Like, what? She's like, when did this
Why?
happen? Why did this happen? Like, what are you
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah.
And I think she's just like, oh, like, I don't know. Like, I just felt bad and I had lunch with her or whatever. And Katie's like, you have no relationship to this girl. Like, this girl is nothing to you. Like, I
Hmm.
am something to you. Like, why are
Yeah,
you doing this? And
yeah.
Lala's like, because I'm soft now.
Get some soft now, Katie. Come
But
on,
like,
get
is that
it
not
together.
okay? Is
I
that not just
know.
like a weird answer? Like, because I'm
Yeah,
soft now. I've also never
yeah,
heard of someone explaining to other people
yeah,
like, I'm a soft person. I feel like
yeah.
and Katie says this in the after show. It's more like your actions would show that you are soft.
Yes. Well, that's just it. It reminds me. So obviously, the people that I can think of off the top of my head for in the Bravo sphere is Zen Wen from Potomac,
Zenwen.
which I feel like very much the same kind of thing. If you have to tell people you're Zen, are you really Zen Wen?
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that's an honor that you get dubbed. Um, and then is Erica Jane giving up fighting with the girls for Lent,
Oh
which I
yeah.
actually think was very successful. So maybe Lala should do that as well.
Yeah.
And that might be a bit of a better way to go about this, because yeah, it's just it's weird for her to be yelling at Katie saying I'm soft now, even though I'm not soft to you and I'm not
Yeah.
soft to Ariana. I have no sympathy for either of your situations. I was such a ride or die for you last year for some reason, and now this year I don't care about you anymore at all.
Well,
Um,
her
and I'll do
answer
whatever
to
it takes.
yeah, her answer to that on the after show, it's not an answer to that, but it kind of is what she's thinking. Is she has said
Yeah,
that she rides so hard for everyone. She goes like pit bull
yeah,
for
I
you,
know.
and she doesn't feel that they reciprocate, so now she's going to stop. But it's like,
Right.
A, no one asked you to do that. B, I truly don't think that you were doing that to ride for Ariana. You were making
No.
bank too. You
Yeah, you
obviously leaned
enjoyed
into that.
that. That's just
You
it.
obviously made your bag as well and ran
Yeah,
off with it, as you're saying that Ariana did, but now it is stopped. And
yeah,
now you're like, well, I guess I don't have to do this anymore. It's just like, stop
yeah.
doing it. Like, I'm so frustrated that she's trying to frame it as like, I am or the ride or die. Like, I am going to fight your battles, but you don't fight
Hmm.
mine. So now I'm going to stop. It's like, no,
Yeah,
like, I'm sure
but
there
it's
was,
also, but it's not even that, because it's like, but instead of fighting your Katie battles, I'm gonna go fight Schwartz and Joe's
yeah,
battles, and instead of fighting your Ariana battles, I'm gonna fight Tom Schwartz's battle for
that's
some
actually,
reason. Like,
that's so
and
true.
she's still fighting, like, and that's just it. Like, just know yourself, just know who you are, know that you're somebody that does go a little bit intense and a little bit hard. Like, that is what this show
But
is.
it's like,
That's how
just
you
do it for the
got.
right person at least.
Well, or just like, just I don't know, like, you can't say that you're not fighting people's battles anymore and then just be fighting new battles. Like,
Yeah,
that's
no,
what you're
that's really
doing.
fair. Um, and then yeah, like Katie's like, it just doesn't make sense, and Lala's like, it's
It
not
doesn't make
my
sense.
job for my life to make sense to you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Which luckily, literally under the sun, everyone is like, but it's Ariana's job to make it make sense to you.
Oh my god,
Like,
yes, it's so
it's like,
true. It's
what?
like
You don't have to
Spider-Man
justify your
meme.
life, but Ariana has to justify her life to you, Lala. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's a
Exactly.
really good point. And then Katie's like, I just like consistency, and then Scheana taps in. She's like, she's so consistent. Um,
I don't think I think
anyways,
Lala's the least consistent person on this show.
I mean, just look at her
Because at
behavior
least
last season and this season,
that's
or
just it.
every
Like, I
single
think
season.
100%. Like, I think like Scheana is consistent because we know that she's always just going to be friends with everyone,
Or
so we know
flip flop,
that.
or like ride the fence.
Exactly, 100%. She wants to be friends with everybody. We get it. Katie is consistent because Katie will 100%, like, she is very much like loyalty driven. Um, and Lala has fought with Katie. She has fought with Scheana. She is now fighting with Ariana. She's fought with Tom Sandoval. She's fought with Tom Schwartz. She's fought with everybody in this cast. And there is no consistency. Actually, there's no
No, it's actually
consistency.
so true. Like her friendships go the most up and down. Like there's seasons
Yeah,
where she's like best friends with people,
yeah,
and then they hate each other, and they're best friends
yeah,
again.
yeah,
So yeah, I
yeah,
think that was kind of a fair thing to say.
yeah.
And then again, yeah, she's just like, you need to let it go. Everyone just loves to tell other people that they need to let it go and when they
Hmm.
need to move on, but it does not
I
apply
don't
to
need to let it go,
themselves.
but you need to let it go.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this was annoying. And then we move on to Another weird,
Singles
yeah,
night.
singles night. So Tom
Boy.
Sandoval, Tom Schwartz, Joe, and like some other people
Yeah,
go.
Cow Chan
Yeah.
and Tom's new assistant, who's a boy, so he's probably
Yes.
not going to have to do his laundry for him.
Fair.
Gets to
Or
go to
not
singles
fair,
night
but probably
instead.
true.
Yeah, accurate.
Yes. So they all go to singles night where you wear like a bracelet if you're like available or not, or if you're the wingman. I guess they got a lot of
Yeah, which I
wingmen.
love that. I thought that
Yeah,
was fun. I loved that. It was such a good
that is
idea.
funny. Okay, so
Yeah,
this
well,
whole thing.
so this is actually sorry. I'll quickly interrupt because this is one thing that did come up in the Rachel and Joe podcast. Is that Joe says that on the way to singles night, Tom Schwartz and her talked about what badge they were gonna wear, and he was like, "Oh, I'll probably go with a yellow or red," and she was like, "Oh, okay, I'll go with yellow or red too." And then he went with green, and she was like, "Wait a minute, what are we doing? I thought we were going with yellow or red."
Oh my
So
gosh.
yeah, which is just
So
like
oh,
sneaky, and so she was like
so
all like
sneaky.
thrown off when he was like, "Yeah, I'm green, green for go, let's do it."
So
Even
yeah,
Kyle Chan was like semi not single. Did you notice that? That was
I
weird.
didn't, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay. Yeah. he was not supposed to be green, but for some reason he was green for the night, and it was just like, okay, what does that mean? But
That's
okay.
oh gosh.
Never mind.
I can't imagine the bad things that happen there of like just people in precarious situations.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, this whole interaction just makes you realize, yeah, like this was not what Joe was signing up for. She clearly thought she
Hmm.
was going to come on the show as Schwartz's girlfriend or Schwartz's something.
Hmm.
He had no intention of that. He is flirting with other girls, and then like this other girl is like really intensely aggressively coming on to him as
Yes. Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And then he ends up like making out with this girl in front of Joe, at which
Yeah.
point she leaves, and you're just like,
Yes.
this is awful.
Yeah. She seemingly like leaves and like goes back to his apartment and like puts on the lawn like the dishwasher and like gets ready for bed. Like that was
Oh,
so
oh
weird,
my god, I didn't even
right?
clock that she went back to his
Wasn't
apartment.
that wasn't that the same? Oh, maybe that wasn't the same
No, I
scene.
think it was a
Oh,
different scene, the
I
next one
thought
they
that was the
have.
same scene.
Oh, I'm not
Okay.
sure.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right. It looked like but you're right. I just kind of like put those together in my mind. And I was like, she went home and she like did the dishes for him. He was like, great, yeah, I'm making out with this random girl. Super intense. Yeah. Sorry.
So yeah, like I don't know. It's just like this whole thing just made me feel really bad for Joe. And like
Yeah.
this is the things that you get frustrated at Schwartz by. Like he does this whole
Hmm.
like, oh, like I don't know, like we're just good friends, and then like but we'll like go on friend dates and we'll apparently hook up and say I love you, but we're just friends. And then when the girl reacts, which we see, I'll
Yeah.
just jump to a scene afterwards. Essentially, we have a
Yeah.
conversation with Schwartz and Joe because he now
Hmm.
realizes like, oh, maybe she is in deeper than I am. How did I not
Yeah.
realize this?
Yeah.
He's like, did I send you mixed signals because like I don't want to be in a relationship? And then
Yeah.
he's like making excuses, and I really did like that. She's like, but like shut the f up.
Yeah.
But basically she now is like, I need a break, like if you
Yeah.
like I need space, like if you are not wanting to be in a relationship, like we can't hang out in the same way.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
you get his little like confessional being like, oh my god, like if we didn't see each other, like that's tragic,
Yeah.
which is literally what we saw at the end of his relationship with Katie, where he finally
Hmm.
like she was sick of him not putting in an effort, and then he's like, oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm so sad.
Yeah, and it's just like I can't believe that this is how this is ending. Like this is so surprising to me. I didn't the consequences to my actions. What? Since when? You mean I can't be friends with you? I can't have my cake and eat it too? Uh yeah,
Classic.
this was a special moment for Tom Schwartz, and I think all of us remembering who he is.
Yeah,
Um
this is it. Like, just like you can
Unfortunate.
only, yeah, he's definitely stringing her along. And then they ask him to in
Hmm.
the after show, and he's always like, well, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, that's just it. In the after show, he was like, "Oh, we communicated so much about the fact that this was just nothing. Like this wasn't going to be anything, and this was just how we were." And it's just like, no, clearly you did not. Like, clearly, you guys had two very clear, different definitions of what was going on in this relationship.
yeah, it's,
Mhm.
you do actually just really feel bad for Joe. So maybe they will not be hanging out as much anymore,
Yeah,
um,
as they shouldn't.
as they shouldn't. So that's basically it. Then
Yeah.
there's like a paintball scene. Not really that much
Oh
happens. The
yeah. Ugh,
boys
nothing
do
happens.
paintball.
Ugh.
The
Yeah.
one thing that happens is Lala sits down with Ali and Scheana, and again just takes the opportunity
Yeah.
to kind of shit on Katie, um,
Basically.
and say, "You want loyalty? You after your ex's best friend." So just one last time to bring this up.
Yeah. It's all just about Lala throwing things out when it's convenient for Lala to throw things out, right? It's upsetting. It's very unfortunate.
It's just like how much more like it's just so funny that they're all like, how many more times can we talk about the house? But it's like, how many more
Yeah.
times can we listen to you talk about the house? Like, I can't.
Literally.
Like, the way that
Literally.
you are feeling about the house situation,
I
you are
know.
perpetuating is how we feel about you talking about that.
That's just it. And like if it's episode like 11, there's probably I would wager there's at least 5 more real episodes and then 2 to 3 episodes for the reunion. So there's like 7 more episodes of this. So
It's
we
so
just
rough.
what else is there? What else could there be in this season? Like I just
You know,
feels like there's nothing else. We've
I
seen
feel so bad
everything.
too because I have a couple friends who like just got into Vanderpump during Scandal
Yeah.
and they binged like
Yeah.
all the seasons, and then for them to finally get to their first like
Like
season, they go
real
watch
season.
live, and it's
Yeah.
this.
Ugh, I know. Maybe they'll bring Stassi back for next season.
Uh,
Is that my controversial take? That we'll get Stassi back next
I
season?
don't think Stassi will come back, nor
I
probably should she.
know.
But
Uh,
at least I'm still enjoying the Valley.
yeah, yeah. I just wish that I don't know. I just wish that this was better because it makes me sad for like whatever's gonna happen next year. Like it's not gonna get better.
It's true. Also, yeah, I mean, it is really sad. I don't want to think about it. Let's just go and
Yeah,
watch old seasons.
there you go.
But at the end
At
of
least we have
last
that.
at the end of last episode, we talked about
Mhm.
Jax, who went on a rant at Jax's Studio City,
Oh yes, yeah.
saying that like everything past season 6 of VPR was scripted,
Hmm.
and then he basically had to make an apology on the
Yeah,
podcast
his
that he,
podcast.
for some reason,
Yeah,
still hosts with Brittany, whom they are
yeah.
separating.
It's very strange.
Like, why is no one
Talking about how
talking
weird
about
that
that?
is, right? I know.
Like, you're sitting with Brittany in the after show chair. Why don't you talk about that?
There you go.
So,
Come on,
um,
Lala. Let's ask some real questions over here.
but basically, he apologizes, and he apparently found out some like information from someone on the cast that he was upset by before this, and that it's not true, and he was just angry, and we should know that
Yeah.
he acts out.
I mean, we all know that Jax Taylor lies, so none of us I don't think any of us really took too much of it, but like yeah, like it's just boring old antics Jax at this point.
Yeah.